looking at John Gray's characterization of the basic elements of liberalism. And we looked at individualism, egalitarianism, and universalism. And obviously we looked at freedom, which is the main belief of liberalism. But today we are going to look at the last element of this definition or this description, which is meliorism. So common to all variants of liberal tradition is a definite conception, distinctively modern in character. So it's a modernist movement in its technical term. So liberalism is based on freedom, a belief in freedom, and freedom is understood in the individualistic sense. Egalitarianism is so individualism, individualism in that it asserts the moral primacy of the person against the claims of any social collectivity. We looked at it in detail. Egalitarianism in as much as it confers on all men and increasingly women the same moral status and denies the relevance of legal or political order of differences in and even religious and metaphysical differences in moral worth among human beings. We looked at this in detail as well. Universal is affirming the moral unity of the human species. So it's a humanistic part of humanism, but humanism as understood in the individualism, in the sense of individualism. And according a secondary importance to specific historic association and cultural forms, we looked at it in a fair bit of detail. And today we are going to look at meliorism. And it is a meliorist in liberalism. It is a meliorist. It believes in meliorism or progressivism. Meliorism and progress are pretty much the same thing. In its affirmation of the corrigibility of and improvability of all social institutions and political arrangements. It is this conception of man and society which gives liberalism a definite identity which transcends its vast internal variety and complexity. Now, we said freedom defines liberalism, and individualism, egalitarianism, and universalism are specific to liberalism in more than one ways. But I don't think meliorism is that important to liberalism as such, because as part of a modernist Enlightenment tradition, humanistic tradition, obviously it believes in progress. But meliorism is not something which is specifically related to liberalism. It's the general belief of all Enlightenment ideologies, whether they are liberal or non-liberal, whether they are Marxist or non-Marxist. But let's look at it if there are ways in which meliorism is in some ways specific to liberalism. So hopefully we'll finish our close reading of John Gray's description of liberalism at the end of it. Okay, let's see. Okay, meliorism. Let's start with the dictionary definition of meliorism. Okay, meliorism and this is, I think, from Cambridge Dictionary, if I'm not mistaken. The belief that the world can be made better by human effort. I mean, what's this is obviously nothing to do with liberalism, but this is just a dictionary definition. And if we look at dictionary, world can be made better, and human efforts are important thing. So there's no divine intervention here or any other transcendent. So in that sense, it's purely humanistic, modernistic, if you will. And better mean that you have an idea of or criterion or criteria of how to distinguish better from worse, etc. And obviously, melior is a Latin for better. So it's not just better, so it is betterism. Betterism you believe in. So obviously, generally, we believe, I mean, if we just look at this dictionary definition, people will agree that, we can make a world a better place by human effort, obviously, unless somebody put alone. But in the same breath, you would say, we can also make world worse by human effort. And we can also say, in trying to make the world better by human effort, we can end up making it worse, because there are always unintended consequences of human action. And it's hard to see the full implications of what we do. That's the first thing. Okay, so let's look at this dictionary meaning and try to apply it to liberalism. So first start with better. So we ask ourselves, does liberalism have a criterion or criteria to distinguish what is good and what is bad, and how to make the world a better place for humans, I guess. Now, obvious place to start is freedom. That's what freedom is. Liberalism is belief in freedom. Freedom is the central value, central concept, central criterion of liberalism. Freedom or liberty, whatever word you want to use. So it's something intrinsically good. And I guess most liberals will agree that it's also instrumentally good. And I guess if we look at the freedom as a negative freedom, so you dismantle social and political structures and institutions. So dismantle which hampers human freedom. And once you do that, then you have a positive space in which human freedom can prosper. So human freedom is obviously a good thing, and by human freedom we mean individual freedom. And after dismantling those regressive structures which hampered human freedom, individual freedom, if we replace them by social and political institutions which promote human freedom and provide the space in which every human being can maximize their freedom without interfering with the similar freedom of another human being. So then in that society, human individual and social potential which was either totally hampered or not fully realized due to oppressive structures, social and political. In this new environment where there are social and political structures which promote human freedom and provide a space in which human freedom can prosper, in doing that they provide a space for human potential, each and every individual's potential to fully actualize, whether that is rational potential or sensual potential or artistic potential. That means you will create a society in which each and every individual is maximizing their human potential and their faculties, their natural faculties, without minimizing the similar potential of other human beings. So it stands to reason that in such a society, individual would be prosper and the world would be a better place because human creativity, human ingenuity, human powers are being maximized through the space which has been provided for human freedom to prosper, because human reason and human desires and human creativity and human genius cannot prosper without the prosperity of their freedom. So in that sense, it makes sense to claim that if we believe in liberal claim in the intrinsic value of freedom, then it does make sense that world would be a better place with liberalism, with freedom, with individualism, with egalitarianism, and with universalism. That is liberal individualism, liberal universalism, liberal egalitarianism. Okay. And also, and that this connection which I'm going to explore now, this is related to liberalism, relates liberalism to capitalism, because belief in freedom, you can't realize your freedom, especially your positive freedom. You don't have resources. And liberalism as an ideology of capitalism is committed to maximizing material resources, because poverty of resources or scarcity of resources is a limit to human freedom and limit to human freedom is limit to betterment and progress in that sense. So commitment to freedom also requires commitment to capitalism, because capitalism is the most rational and the most creative way to overcome scarcity. So with belief in freedom, we will create a world in which scarcity of resources is overcome. And once a scarcity of resources is overcome, that's a progress for betterment. Then human freedom would have essential limits lifted from it. Then human being would be able to do things which our forefathers hadn't been able to do because of the limit on their freedom. So commitment to freedom in that sense also is a window or a great door to making the world a better place, in the sense that there are less limits on the realization of our freedom. So these are a few things which, in there are few ways in which liberalism is related to meliorism. Okay, let's go back to this text. So liberalism is meliorist in its affirmation of the corrigibility and improvability of all social institutions, political arrangement. It is this conception of man's society which gives liberalism a definite identity with which transcends. Well, I think that's enough, even though we can probably say a bit more, but that was a good exercise in understanding liberalism. Now I think we have learned a few new things. Okay, thank you.